Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. So today I'm going to be starting my term 1 reviews. I'm going to be going through all the curriculum that I've been using with my 4 kids who are in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade this year. And I'm going to be talking about how everything has been going so far. So today I'm covering what's in my morning basket. So over here to my right, I have my morning basket. So I'm going to be going through what we have done and just talking about how all of that is going for us so far this year. There are a few components that are not physical that I'm going to talk about that I consider part of our morning basket. We start our morning basket about 45 minutes to an hour into our day. We have found that it works best to start out with independent work, and I work with some students one-on-one. And then at about 45 minutes or an hour into the day, we gather together to do our morning basket. And then we follow that with our group work. So next video will be on our group work and what we're doing together as a family. So the first thing that we do in our morning basket, and we started this last year, is World Watch News. It is a great start to our day. The kids all like to watch it. So it's also a motivator to get some things done in that first 45 minutes to an hour. Some kids are required to finish a certain number of things before they get to join us for our group time. And so World Watch News is something that they do not want to miss. So I'm going to link below a link to World Watch News. I do have a link that will give you some free time on World Watch News. I can't remember exactly what it is. I'm going to put it below and you'll see it here. What you'll get if you use my link to sign up for World Watch News. So check that out if that's something you're interested in. It is a non-biased but Christian news program, and we have really enjoyed watching it. So I will link that below. And then next we go into sort of our Bible time. So this semester for our Bible time, we have been doing, this is Not Consumed, God's Story, and this is a study through the Old Testament. So that's what we've been going through. We are on lesson 24, 25 out of 31. So we should be finishing this up pretty soon. We're probably on about week 10 or 11 of our school year, and usually a term is about 12 weeks. So we should be finishing this up this term. I will probably take a break from this, or I will take a break from going into the New Testament one, and we'll start that once we are done with the Christmas season and all that. So my plan for next term to start off with is to just be going back to our Sunlight Bible reading. So it looks like we should be going into 1 Timothy, and this is just our Sunlight reading from Sunlight Level F that we never finished. So we'll just be going through and reading the verses instead of Not Consumed for a bit until the new year, and then we will pick up God's Story study through the New Testament. What I have really enjoyed about this is that each lesson is covering generally one book, sometimes 2 or 3 books, depending. There are about 30 lessons, so obviously that's not going to be every book of the Bible, but it is really just painting a picture through the whole Bible and just sort of bringing it all together and showing how everything in the Bible points to Jesus. So I have really enjoyed going through it this way, just going through the whole Bible, a book at a time. There are some key scriptures to read on each lesson that sort of highlights what the book is about. And I think that the creator of Not Consumed did a really good job at pulling this all together. So I will link in the description box below a link to anything that I mentioned in this video. If I can find it, it will be linked below. So if you're interested in Not Consumed, we really enjoy Not Consumed Bible studies. We have been using them for quite a few years, and this has been a really good sort of survey of the Old Testament. After that, we have been rotating through these 3 books. So the 3 books I have here, so that means each day we'll pick up one and we'll just read a little bit. So we have been reading the Radical Book for Kids. This is, we're not very far into it. This covers basically basic theology, I would say. So that it's been good. We have enjoyed it. Yeah, I feel like we haven't done a whole lot of lessons. Maybe, what number are we on? We just finished 8. So we've only done about 8 8 chapters or lessons. And as you can see, we're not super far, but I do think that what we've been learning has been good and applicable for my kids. Next, I have Indescribable. This is probably our 3rd or 4th year using this. We have been going through it very slowly. I usually have it in a rotation. I can see that I have like 2 tabs left, so we will be finished this. So yeah, so we have enjoyed that, obviously, because we keep doing it. Okay, so I had to go pull the blinds because the sun was shining in my face in a weird way, but obviously we have enjoyed Indescribable as we have continued, and we just have 2 left. So if you are not familiar with Indescribable, it just is a 2-page spread each day. It's based on science, and the author, Louis Giglio, he just brings science together with scripture, and it's really done in a really great way. I would say very good for the middle of elementary years up to upper elementary. Even middle school is fine. We are still using it, and my kids are middle school and high schoolers, so we have really enjoyed that. Another new book for us this year is this one, It Couldn't Just Happen, Knowing the Truth About God's Awesome Creation. This is another science and scripture book that ties what we see in science with God's word and God's design. And so that has been a really good one. We are a little further in this one. I would say we're about a 4th of the way through this one. So we have been enjoying that so far. Yeah, it's been a good one. Once we are finished with Indescribable, I have 2 books here that I am planning on going into. I think I'm going to go into this one next. So this is The Kingdom Strikes Back. It is part of Sunlight Level G. And let's see, I'm just going to read the back here. If the Bible were an epic movie, the first 11 chapters served as the introduction to the story, the prelude, and the place where the filmmaker runs text up the screen to tell what has happened till now. They introduce the main characters and set the stage for what's to come. They teach us that God created the world and all that's in it. They also describe how God's arch nemesis Satan came in and set himself up as a usurping king. But now, beginning in Genesis 12, God launches the first covert operation that will eventually wipe Satan out, Satan and all his minions. How does God achieve victory? That's the overarching story of the Bible. And John Holzman retells it in The Kingdom Strikes Back. All right, so we're going to be reading this. So I think this is just going to go really well with our theme that we are currently going through, just kind of an overview of the Bible and just the overarching story. And these look like pretty short little, looks like 4 pages. So we'll just include that into our rotation once we're done Indescribable. All right, so the next section here is more of, the morning basket part. So that was more of the Bible and intro to our morning basket. So the morning basket part, I have, about 6 or 7 items that we rotate through. I do about 2 each day, maybe 1 if we only have time to cover one of them. And we are currently only getting to morning basket 3 times a week just because of our schedule this year. So we probably get through a whole rotation every week or 2. Generally, probably 2 weeks to get through a whole rotation. So the first one I have here is this, and it's just in the order that it's in my cart. This is the We Choose Virtues. There was a course or something that I purchased, and I started doing the whole thing, and I ended up just looking at the posters. So it came with these 12 posters. And originally there were worksheets and things to go with it, and we tried that and it just didn't work very well for us. So we started these last year and we were just finishing these off. I think I got about 7 of them done last year, and so we have about 5 to finish off. So right now we're studying I Am Obedient. So it comes with a page like this, I am obedient, and then it tells a story. I follow instructions willingly and cheerfully. I am not argumentative, defiant, or stubborn, and I don't refuse to do what I'm told. And then on the back of the page, it has define, discern, dream, detect, and do it. So they just have some questions that we go through orally together as a group. And I usually go through this twice. So I'll go through it one time and I'll get through about half of the page here with my kids. And then the second time we'll go through and we'll do the other half of the page. So it takes about, 3 to 4 weeks to finish, and we're just sort of focusing on that virtue during that time. All right, so next is sort of our critical thinking or the logical fallacies portion. So we have just finished the Tuttle Twins Guide to Logical Fallacies. We started on this, I think, last year, and I have mixed feelings on it. I think it's pretty good. I do like how they set up each of the fallacies. They have like some visuals to help the kids understand what we're talking about. And then they give some arguments or they explain the fallacy. And then they give an example with Ethan and Emily. So they're twins from the Tuttle Twins, and explain sort of what the problem was and how that covers the fallacy. And then we have a Tuttle Twins takeaway. So I do think it's a really good way to bring critical thinking and debate down to like a middle school level. I feel like some of the examples they use, they overuse some examples. And if you are not familiar with Tuttle Twins, they do run more libertarian. So that is definitely seen throughout most of their products we had the 13 books, the 13 thin books that we went through, and then these middle grade ones as well. So if that's something that you're not interested in, then this would not be good for you. But if you're okay with some libertarian ideals and ideas, then Tuttle Twins could be okay for you. And so we just finished that up. And so really this we have not even touched yet, but this is in our morning basket because we are going to get started on this. So this is the Thinking Toolbox, 35 lessons that will build your reasoning skills. Now I had to choose between putting this in my morning basket and putting this, the Fallacy Detective, in my morning basket. I have had this one for a very long time, and I was planning on doing that this year. But then I also got this one this year, and then I did a video reviewing or flipping through both of these. And so I will link that video below if you want to see the differences in these two books. And I decided, because we have already been going through the logical fallacies, this might be too much of the same thing right away. So I decided to go with this. So this is just some good reasoning skills and ways to just think smart. So I thought that this would be a great one to move into. So this is the one that we're going to be doing this term. Next in line here, I have Ashanti to Zulu. This is African traditions. And so this is just an A to Z book on different African traditions. So A is for blank, and then it talks about that tradition. And this is part of our Sunlight F that we were doing last year, countries and cultures of the Eastern Hemisphere. Right now we are covering Africa. So we did it all last year, and this year we are basically finishing up Southeast Asia, Africa, and then Oceania, so Australia, New Zealand. I'm not sure if we're going to do anything with Antarctica, but we are currently in Africa. So this is just currently in our morning basket, and we're just taking a few rotations to get through this very thin little book. So I think I have it split up to about 6 pages each time we read this. Next, I have Financial Literacy Lessons and Activities for grades 6 to 8. I'm sorry that there is a glare. We have finished one section so far. So we just go through and do a few pages each time. The first section was on buying and selling at the store, and now we are moving into earning money at a job. And so each time we do this, I will just do it for a certain amount of time, really. Just do 1 or 2 activities, and I think the kids have had fun with it. It's just some real life examples on how to be smart when it comes to using your money. And so that has been a fun addition to our morning basket. Next, I have 13 things strong kids do. Think big, feel good, and act brave. And we're about a fourth of the way or a little bit more through this book. This is a really good one. I picked this one up at Barnes & Noble. I found a $25 gift certificate for Barnes & Noble that was like super, super old. So I thought I'd go and see if it still had money on it, and it did. So I ended up picking this as well as like a beautiful wildlife book. But here are the contents. And so far we have gone through, they stop feeling sorry for themselves, they empower themselves, they adapt to change. And we are starting on, they focus on things they have control over. So this is a really good book for mindset, kids' mindset. I would say very appropriate for middle school. So perfect for my kids' ages right now. Next, we have all the small poems and 14 more. We really have one more reading of this before this is going to be done, and then we will be moving on to a new poetry book. I'm not sure of the name of the poetry book, but it is whatever comes with Book Shark G, which is what we're working on this year. So this was the book that came with Book Shark F from last year, and we're just finishing this up. This is really actually a very simple and fun read. It is just poetry like this, like very, very, very short, very easy for the kids to read. So we may take turns reading. I'll read a whole bunch and they'll read a few, and we can read many, many pages at a time. So whenever we hit this, we just read quite a few pages. And so, I don't know, we maybe have read it about 8 times and we're going to be done with this one. Next I have Beat the Story Drum, Pum Pum. And so in my morning basket, I like to have a section which is folklore, fairy tales, things like that. So as we are studying Africa, this is the book that we are using for that. So we have read about 2 of the stories. There aren't a whole lot, so we're about halfway through. So it might take us about 4 rounds to get through that. And so we've just been reading these stories. And then before this term, we have also read, I got a few books from the library that had to do with Southeast Asia books. So I'm going to link that here so you can see which books that we did when we covered Southeast Asia. And then we also read a few stories in this book. So this is Usborne's Illustrated Stories from China. Looks like we got about a third of the way through. And the reason why I picked up this book, even though it's not Southeast Asia, is because I was planning on reading this last year when we covered China and that area. I have a daughter adopted from Taiwan, so I did want to go through these stories. So this is not currently in our morning basket, but it is backup for whenever we finish whatever folktales and folklore and things that we have. I will stick this back into our morning basket and finish this book up. So those things that I just showed you are sort of the things that we rotate through. We do 1 or 2 of those things each day. And then the last thing that I would say I consider part of my morning basket is our read aloud. So typically at this point, I'll tell my kids to go grab a snack, go to the bathroom, and I will pick up whatever book we are reading aloud. So the first read aloud we did this year was The Land I Lost. So this is set in Vietnam. I don't know when, probably back in the 50s. And I do want to warn you that people die in this. It's a little bit shocking if you're not expecting it. So this is definitely not, even though it is a small book and it has pretty large print, I would not say hand this to your child and don't read it if you have super sensitive children. So like I said, my kids are in middle school, so this was okay, but there were some shocking parts of this book. So definitely not for sensitive readers, but we did enjoy it, and it was very interesting to see what life was like back in those times in Vietnam, and sort of, these are true stories about this boy who grew up in Vietnam. So very applicable to what we've been learning, studying countries of the Eastern Hemisphere, but not a super light read at times. So because that book was a little heavier, I picked up this for our next book. This is Cornelia and the Audacious Escapades of the Somerset Sisters. This, I believe, is suggested in Sunlight F. And so I read this, and my kids really did enjoy it. I was a little iffy on it. It's fine. It was fine. It was good. I didn't love it, but my kids did really enjoy it. So basically, this girl has a new neighbor, and she meets this neighbor, and this neighbor's telling her stories about her and her sisters. And when they were about in their early 20s, they started traveling all over the world, and just the different adventures that they have in different places around the world. So they went to Morocco, to England, to India. I don't know if there's somewhere else, maybe Paris, France. And so it's just a book about stories set in different places and the 4 sisters, the Somerset sisters, and kind of the crazy adventures they get into. So definitely a nice lighter read after The Land I Lost. So that was a good one to pick up. Now, I haven't started this yet, but this is our next read aloud. It's Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. Since we are studying Africa and my kids showed some interest in this book, so I'm going to be reading this out loud. This is adapted for young readers, so we have not started. I just have all the tabs and my plans on how much I'm going to read each day. So I'll let you know how that is next time I do my morning basket review. Okay, so that covers what we have been using in our morning basket. And like I said, my next video is going to be on our group subjects, which would be what we do after we do all of this. So come back next time to see how our group subjects are going this year. And let me know if there's anything that you've been doing in your morning basket that you've really enjoyed. If you guys do morning baskets, what has been your favorite part of your morning basket so far this year? I would love it if you would link that in the comments below so everyone can get some good ideas. Maybe they need a morning basket refresh. So thanks for sharing those ideas, and thanks so much for coming today. And I hope to see you all in a future video. Bye, everyone.